Hello everyone, welcome to course study on solid mechanics. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss the experiment number 1 of the subject solid mechanics. The title of that experiment is Field Test and Water Absorption of the Brick. The name itself indicates what is field test and water absorption of the brick. Field test have to perform when no laboratory is available in the nearby places of the site. Okay, so to check the quality of the brick onto the field, we have to perform the field test. Okay, and the second one is water absorption of the brick. So all of you know that brick is porous in nature. It absorbs moisture, water from the mortar, from the atmosphere, or from the falling raindrop. Okay, so the durability of that particular brick get affected due to the absorption of the water or moisture. Okay, so it is necessary to determine the water content into the brick. Okay, therefore we have to perform the water absorption of the brick. So before proceeding for actual part of our experiment number 1, we will discuss the definition of the brick. So what is brick? Brick is nothing but it's a structural unit of rectangular shape and of convenient size that are made from suitable type of the clay by different processes involving molding, drying and burning. Okay, so as per the definition, a brick is nothing but it is a structural unit. Remember that there is difference between the structural unit and the structural material. By using different structural material, we can produce the structural unit. Okay, so this is the structural unit of rectangular shape. So all of you know that the shape of the brick is a rectangular one and which has a specific dimensions. Okay, so the dimensions of the bricks are fixed one and it is made up of a suitable type of the clay. Remember that for the manufacturing of the brick, we require a suitable type of the clay. We cannot use a clay which is available onto the earth. We have to use such a clay. Okay, that particular clay will give a specific characteristic to the brick. So that clay we have to use for the manufacturing of the brick. Therefore we have given here, we have to use a suitable type of the clay. Okay, and after that we have to process by the molding, drying and burning stages. Okay, so the first step is molding. After that we have to dry the brick, and after drying it we have to burn the brick in the kiln. Okay, so this is the simple and introductory part of the brick. As shown in figure, we have a brick of rectangular shape, okay, which has a specific dimension, which has a convenient size. All the edges of the brick are sharp one. Okay, and the dimensions of the brick are length is 190 mm, its depth is 90 mm and its width is 90 mm. Is it okay? We can express it in centimeter also. Length will be 19 centimeter, depth will be 9 centimeter and width will be the 9 centimeter. Okay, so the size of the brick is 190 mm by 90 mm by 90 mm as shown in figure. Okay, this particular portion is known as frog of the brick. This particular portion is known as frog of the brick. So what is the use of the frog? Frog can be used for the binding purpose. Okay, to get a stronger bond between two bricks, a frog is provided. Okay, and the second purpose of providing frog is for the marketing purpose. Okay, for the marketing of manufacturers, a frog may be provided. Okay, and the depth of that particular frog, it lies between 10 mm to 20 mm. So this is the vertical depth of the frog. This is the vertical depth of the frog. Okay, so this is all about a introductory part or the definition of the brick. Now we will discuss the second point, the selection of suitable brick earth. Brick earth means it's a clay. Okay, so whatever the clay we will select, that clay must contain alumina, silica, iron oxide, lime and magnesia. Okay, because all those ingredients, it has a specific effect onto the characteristic of the brick. Okay, so first of all we will discuss the alumina. The percentage of alumina in a brick clay is 20 to 30%. Okay, so what is the effect of alumina onto the property of brick? Okay, so it gives plastic characteristic to the clay in wet condition. What is the effect of alumina? It gives plastic characteristic to the clay in wet condition. If you have to mold anything into any shape, then that particular material, it should be in plastic state. Then and then only we can mold it into any shape. Therefore, to give the plastic characteristic, the alumina content is very important in the clay of the brick. Okay, now what will happen when the alumina percentage is greater than 30 or when it is less than 20? Okay, so when alumina percentage is greater than 30, it becomes more plastic. Okay, and as it become more plastic, it will shrink when it becomes dry. Okay, shrinkage of that particular brick will take place on the drying of that brick. Okay, but when it is less than 20%, then it is very difficult to mold that particular brick into its shape. Okay, so the plastic characteristic will be less and it will be difficult to mold it into any proper shape. Therefore, the practical knowledge says that alumina content must lie between 20 to 30%. Is it okay? Now the second constituent of the clay of the brick is silica. Okay, and the percentage of silica, it lies between 50 to 60%. Okay, now silica is present in many clays in the two form. Okay, it may be in the form of sand or it may be in the form of clay minerals only. Okay, it may be in the form of clay minerals itself. Okay, or it may be in the form of sand or quartz, and the percentage is 50 to 60%. So what is the use of silica in the clay of the brick? It gives strength characteristic to the brick. It gives strength characteristic to the brick, and also the second one is hardness to the brick. So whatever the strength characteristic and hardness we are seeing for the brick, that is just because of the silica presence. Is it okay? Now third main constituent is iron oxide, and the percentage of iron oxide is 4 to 6%. Okay, so what is the use of iron oxide into the brick clay? It will act as a flux. Iron oxide, it acts as a flux. So what is flux? It lowers down the softening temperature of the silica and other clay component during the firing. Okay, so iron oxide, it acts as a flux. It means that it lowers down the softening temperature of the silica and the clay component during the firing. Okay, therefore iron oxide is very important into the clay of brick. Okay, now when it is greater than 6%, the brick becomes too soft. Okay, and when it is less than 4%, then it is very difficult to burn that particular brick. So as per the practical knowledge, the iron oxide content must lie between 4 to 6%. And the last one is lime. The percentage of lime is same that of the iron oxide, 4 to 6%. Okay, again remember that lime also gives the plastic characteristic to the brick. Okay, but it should not be greater than 4%, otherwise it becomes excessive soft on heating. Okay, so the percentage of lime is also fixed one. And another constituent is magnesia also. Magnesia is also present into the clay of the brick. This is all about the selection of suitable brick earth. Now we will proceed to the quality of good brick. Quality of good brick means just like it is a field test. We can consider this particular topic as a field test. Okay, so how to check the quality of good brick onto the field? It should have a sharp rectangular shape and surface and red color appearance. Okay, so the first field test is it must be a sharp rectangular shape. Okay, the surface of that particular brick must be a clear rectangular one. Okay, and it should have a red color appearance. Is it okay? The second field test is it should confirm a specified dimension. Specified dimension means it has a specific dimensions. Okay, and it is 19 by 9 by 9 centimeter or 190 by 90 by 90 mm. Is it okay? This is the second quality of the good brick. The third quality is it should be properly burnt. It should be properly burnt. Okay, so how to check whether it is properly burnt or not? Okay, so this can be ascertained by holding two bricks freely and striking them each other. Okay, so how to check whether brick is properly burnt or not? By holding two bricks freely and striking them to each other. Okay, after striking to each other, it gives a sharp metallic sound. It gives a sharp metallic sound, so it indicates that a good burning. If you observe a sharp metallic sound, ringing sound, then we can say it as a good burning brick. Okay, and if the sound is dull, then we can say it as a underburned brick. Okay, there is 4 point is a good brick should not absorb water more than 20% of its dry weight and should not exceed 25% in any case. Okay, so how to decide whether the brick is good or not? It should not absorb water more than 20% of its dry weight. Okay, and in no case it should be greater than 25%. Okay, next point, a good brick should not have compressive strength less than 2.5 Newton per mm square. Okay, and to check it, fall a brick freely from a height of 1 meter on a hard floor. It should not break into two pieces. Okay, a good quality brick, it should not have compressive strength less than 3.5 MPa. Okay, and to check it onto the side, we have to release it from a height of 1 meter on a hard floor. If it breaks into two parts, then we have to discard it. Okay, but as per the requirement, it should not break into two parts. And the last one, it should be hard enough to scratching by fingernail. Okay, if you use your fingernail and if you scratch it, there should not be any impression on that particular brick. Okay, if there is no impression, then it shows that a brick is hard enough. This is all about the introductory part of brick, the quality of brick earth and the quality of good brick onto the site. Is it okay? Now we will proceed to the actual part of our experiment number 1. So what is the aim of today's practical? To determine the water absorption of burnt clay brick. We have to determine the water absorption of the burnt clay brick. How much water it absorbs when it comes in contact with the mortar or when it comes into contact with the atmosphere or from the falling raindrops. How much water it absorbs, because the absorption of water, okay, it affects the durability of that particular brick. Okay, so the aim of today's practical is to determine the water absorption of the burnt clay brick. Okay, what is the purpose? The purpose of this test is to know the maximum quantity of water absorbed by the brick as discussed in earlier, and also the quality and suitability of the brick to be tested. Okay, so the purpose is to know the maximum quantity of water absorbed by the brick as it is porous in nature, and also we have to check the quality of that particular brick, because the quality is also depend upon the water absorption characteristic. Is it okay? Next one, references. Next point is references, means what we have referred to perform the particular test. Okay, so the first reference is IS 1077 1992. IS is nothing but it's a Indian standard. I stands for Indian and S for standard. Okay, and those are the guidelines which we have to follow for performing any test. Therefore it is named as a IS 1077 1992. That code we have to refer for the specification for common burnt clay brick. Okay, the second reference is IS 3102 1965. It gives the classification of brick. Okay. Third reference is IS 3495 part 2 1992. It gives the method of testing on burnt clay brick. Is it okay? And the last reference is IS 5454 1978. It gives methods of sampling of burnt clay brick. Is it okay? So those are the references which we have to use for performing this test. Next one, which apparatus we have to use to perform this particular test? The apparatus required are tray. Okay. Next one, scale we will require, weighing balance and weights. Okay. So those are the apparatus which we will require to perform the test. Material required is bricks, 5 number and water. Is it okay? So it's very easy. Now regarding theory of the today's practical, so all of you know that brick is porous in nature. Okay, so due to the porosity, there is voids into the, as it is porous, so it means that the voids are present into the brick. Okay, and depending upon the size of the void, there will be the more water absorption and ultimately poorer the quality of the brick. Okay, so the theory says that water absorption of brick depends upon their porosity, which is due to the voids of various sizes which are present into the bricks. Is it okay? Larger the porosity, it is obvious that larger the porosity, more will be the water absorption and ultimately the poorer will be the quality of the brick. Is it okay? Now bricks which are underburnt or which contain excess calcium carbonate have high absorption of moisture and lower compressive strength. So it is obvious that when brick will absorb more water, okay, then its compressive strength will go on decreasing. So it is very important to limit the water absorption of the brick. Is it okay? Now brick absorb water from the cement mortar, which is vital for hydration and seating and reduces the strength of the mortar. As discussed in the previous slide, bricks absorbs the water from the atmosphere also, from the falling raindrop also, and very important one, it absorbs the water from the mortar. Okay, and the characteristic of the mortar is depend upon the water which is present in that particular mortar. Okay, if the water content go on reducing, the strength of mortar will also go on reducing. Is it okay? Therefore in today's practical, it is very important to find out the water absorption of the brick. So the procedure is given step by step. So what we have to do, the first step is select 5 brick randomly from a stack. Okay, so the first procedure is we have to select any 5 brick from a stack of the bricks. So from this figure you can see that there are number of bricks. Okay, and from those brick we have to select any 5 brick. Any 5 brick we have to select. The second step is dry the brick specimen in a oven at a temperature of 105 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius till it attains substantially constant weight. So the second procedure is, after selecting 5 brick randomly, first procedure is select 5 brick randomly, any 5 brick we have to select. After that we have to keep those brick in a brick specimen in a oven at a temperature of 105 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius till it attains substantially constant weight. So as shown in this figure, it is an electric oven. Okay, we have to maintain a temperature of oven between 105 degrees Celsius to 110 degrees Celsius. Okay, and we have to keep our brick into that particular oven for until and unless it will attain a constant weight. Is it okay? This is the second procedure. Third procedure is weigh each brick separately after cooling. After removing it from the oven, we will allow it to cool. Okay, and after that we have to weigh each brick separately. Okay, Now this is the third step. The fourth step is immerse all the brick in a clean water at a temperature of, this is not visible, actually it is 27 degrees Celsius plus minus 2 degrees Celsius. Okay, immerse all brick in a clean water at a temperature of 27 degrees Celsius plus minus 2 degrees Celsius for 24 hours. Okay, so as shown in figure, we have to immerse all those brick into a water for 24 hours. Is it okay? And the fifth step is, after 24 hours, remove the specimen and wipe out any traces of water with the damp cloth. Okay, after removing those bricks from the water, okay, we will wipe out the traces of water with the cloth. Okay, and very last step, it is the weighing each specimen separately. This should be done within the 3 minutes. Okay, after wiping out each and every brick, we have to weigh each brick separately. Okay, and that process has to be done within the 3 minutes. Is it okay? Now observation table. Okay, we have to consider 5 observation because we have selected 5 random bricks, so serial numbers are 5. Okay, second column is identification mark. Identification mark means how you will identify your brick. Okay, so I have considered S1, S2, S3, S4, S5. Is it okay? Now the third column is weight of oven dry brick. It's a weight of oven dry brick. When we will keep brick in oven, okay, after that we have to weigh it. Okay, so those are the weight of the brick, oven dried brick. Okay, it is in kg. It is in kg. Second one is weight of the saturated brick, W2. Saturated brick means it's a weight after immersing it into water for 24 hours. Okay, W1, it is a weight after placing it in oven, and W2 after placing it in water. Okay, therefore how to calculate the value of water absorption? Water absorption can be given by this formula, W2 minus W1 upon W1 into 100. Okay, water absorption can be given by W2 minus W1 upon W1 into 100. Okay, and this is the water absorption in average. Okay, now we have considered 5 bricks. For each and every brick, oven dry weight is given by in this column. Is it okay? After placing it in water, it's obvious that it will absorb the moisture, water, so its weight will go on increasing. Therefore W2 will be greater than W1 always. Okay, therefore water absorption can be given by this particular formula. Okay, so for each and every brick we have calculated the water absorption. Okay, and the average of all those brick is 9.04%. Okay, so the 5 brick on an average will absorb the moisture 9.04. Okay, and this is the sample calculation which is shown in this particular slide. Is it okay? This is the sample calculation of reading 1 only. Okay, now the result shows that the water absorption of the brick sample as a percentage of weight is 9.04%. So it's an average value, 9.04%. It's an average value of 5 brick. Okay, and the requirement as per the IS specification is average water absorption shall not be more than 20% by a weight up to class 12.5 and 15% by weight of higher class. Okay, now as the class of the brick go on increasing, the water absorption characteristic go on decreasing, because the quality of brick also increases, the porosity decreases. Therefore it is obvious that the water absorption will decrease. Okay, so for the class up to 12.5, water absorption should not be more than 20%. Okay, and for the class higher than 12.5, actually it is a 12.5, it is a class based on the compressive strength of the brick. Okay, and for the for the class greater than 12.5, water absorption should not be greater than 15. Okay, so we have to draw a conclusion. The conclusion shows that the brick satisfies the IS requirement. because as our result shows water absorption as a 9.04%, so it is less than 15% because it is for the higher class. Okay, as it is less than 15%, so it shows that it satisfies the IS requirement. So this is all about the first experiment, that is water absorption of the brick. Okay, so we will stop here. Thank you.